Are you looking for better health but feel a little overwhelmed with it all, thinking there might be something missing? Maybe you're looking for action steps to take that get to the real root of the issue and actually move the needle in your health. Here on the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast, we will share the link between our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, all while pointing you to the one and only true healer, Jesus. I'm Kari, Coody, your co-host. As a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner, I spent 20 years in the traditional healthcare world, and it was definitely long enough to know there's a huge need for preventative healthcare and holistic healing. I'm excited to have conversations around these topics with my co-host and friend, Jenn.
Hey, I'm Jenn Patriarca. God gave me this desire to help others with natural healing a long time ago. With more than 20 years of experience in the functional nutrition field, God decided it was time to join forces. Kari and I are colleagues turned faithful partners in this mission God has put on our hearts. A mission for true healing, one that encompasses an integrative approach. With Jesus taking the lead, our aim is to point you toward Him as we help you peel back the layers. Through conversations, you can expect straightforward information on holistic health topics that include physical, emotional, and spiritual action steps that will create real change in your health, and honest conversations around the ups and downs that can come with healing. It's time to have joy in your life again and the energy to do all that God has called you to. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes every Monday.
Hello, everyone. It's Kari here. Welcome back to the podcast. We are continuing our summer series on just how to have a healing summer. And I have my friend and partner, Hannah, here with me. She is just such a joy to me. I just love all that she brings to this practice and just to my life personally. And just really happy to have these conversations with her. She brings just such great ideas and a different point of view. So thanks for joining me, Hannah.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kari.
Yeah. So in this episode, I thought it would be fun to talk about just some cool, refreshing, mineral-rich drinks that would be maybe different that you could think about adding in during the summertime or really any time. But I thought it would be kind of neat. I was talking to Hannah, like we could do one for spring and summertime drinks, and then one for maybe like fall and winter drinks, because you drink probably more warm drinks during the wintertime and more cool drinks during the summertime. So I think that will be really fun. But this is something that I have really enjoyed incorporating in my life over the last few years and really have seen a lot of positive physical benefits to it. But I was just talking to Hannah about, I don't know what this says about me. Maybe I live a really boring life, but I really think it just adds joy to my day when I can have a yummy drink to, I don't know, have with my lunch or mid-afternoon. I don't know. It just makes life more enjoyable. So that's kind of what we wanted to share a little bit about today. So we kind of have 3 each that we were just going to share a little bit about, and we'll definitely make sure in the show notes, the podcast, if you're listening on audio, or the description of this video, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have the recipes for you if you're a recipe kind of person. So Hannah, you want to go first? Share your first one?
Okay, yes, I'll share my first one. So this drink you can make hot or cold. So depending on where you're at in the temperature, I've been enjoying it cold, and it's a matcha drink. And I think the star minerals in this drink is one, the matcha for the antioxidants, but then also 2, I like to add a teaspoon of colostrum to it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm sure you've talked about colostrum on
some. Yeah, colostrum's like good for gut health and immunity and those types of things. It's kind of gotten more popular over the last few years for sure.
I think it has, honestly. And usually you get it in a pretty large quantity, and you really only need like a teaspoon at a time. So, yeah. But it's just chock full of such, like, almost every vitamin you can think of is in colostrum and minerals.
Yeah,
and so
that's true.
Yeah. And then I like to add either half a cup of raw milk or coconut milk. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, both of which are great. But, and then there's a little bit of mixture of water in there too. So we'll, like you said, we'll do all the measurements in the notes, but this drink is so fun. And if you're someone that's trying to maybe limit caffeine, I think I love using matcha because you can control the quantity.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really is just so fun. So that's my
I
first.
think a lot of people usually think of matcha as being hot. So that is something that's a little bit different. And also, I've tried matcha, but you're inspiring me to try it again. I didn't really love it, to be honest. So if you're like me and you're like, okay, I tried it before, maybe I just didn't do it right. So we're going to follow Hannah's suggestion and try it again. And that is a good point. It does have caffeine in it. So you might want to enjoy this one like in the morning or early afternoon versus like at night. It has a lot of benefits and is a great thing to add in if you're trying to cut out coffee or just decrease your consumption of coffee. So yeah, and you could add a sweetener to that, I guess, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I believe I forgot that. Yes.
That's okay. I mean, you might not want it sweet, but you might want to add a little sweetener. If you did add something sweet, what would you sweeten it with?
Oh, I like to use maple syrup, a little bit of maple syrup or coconut sugar. Those are my
Okay.
go-to. But you
Yeah.
could use me too if you wanted as well.
Yeah. The coconut milk probably gives it a little bit of sweetness. I know when I add coconut milk to my drinks, it does. So, but I do like maple syrup. It has a lot of minerals in it in itself, and just the sweetness of it. I love that.
Yeah. Same.
Okay, that's number one. We're giving you 6 new drinks that you could try. So the one that I wanted to share first was a drink that I make with sparkling water. And so I mean, I used to enjoy soda like a long time ago, but it's been probably 10 years since I had a soda. So I do like the carbonation aspect of a soda. So if you're like me and maybe you've cut out sodas or maybe you're just trying to cut down your consumption, I do like sparkling water. Now they make a lot of different like flavored sparkling waters, and you could use those, or you could get your own little carbonator machine. That's kind of what I did. So I used that water. And to make this drink, you would add it to a little bit of orange juice. And then I like to add bumbleroot powder to it. It has a lot of potassium in it. There's several other nutrients that it has in there, but it has a lot of potassium. So that's kind of why I love to add it to drinks sometimes, just to get my potassium in for the day. But adding those 3 things together really makes a delicious drink. And of course, I use that with like cold. So you would put ice with it if you want, or just you could have it more room temperature too. But I just love something sparkling in the summer more so, just because, especially like if it's hot, I don't know, it's just something different to add to your daily, your daily routine that kind of makes you have more joy. That's what we're looking for, right? More joy.
Amen.
All right. What's your next one, Hannah?
Okay, my next one is like a low blood sugar adrenal cocktail. So it's really just a combination of filtered water, a bunch of, you could do freshly squeezed lime juice or lemon, and add magnesium bicarb, a salt, and I do cream of tartar for this one, for the potassium. I love this one because sometimes you're just not always in the mood for something sweet.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of the adrenal cocktails are relatively sweet, which is totally fine. But I think for when you're just kind of wanting a neutral drink, something to sip on throughout, I don't know, your work or your day outside, and you don't have to be concerned about eating a piece of protein like that outside to support your blood sugar. I go for this one. And this is like, this drink is an example of why I love drinking mineral drinks, is because they really can be so cheap. It is so cheap to make that. It's compared to, buying a drink out or
truly. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I mean, yeah, that is a good point. Oftentimes when we're at restaurants or we're out and about, and other people are getting, I don't know, tea or soda or whatever, like we want something different. And so oftentimes I'll bring a drink to make, or take one with me, obviously. And these are just really good options to do that. Now you did mention putting magnesium bicarbonate in there, and excuse me, I've created I believe there's a whole blog post, and I know I did a video on how to make magnesium bicarbonate. It's actually a liquid. It's a powder that you put with carbonated water, and there's like a little process to it that transforms it to magnesium bicarbonate, which is a very absorbable form of magnesium. So I'll make sure to include that. But now, if somebody didn't have magnesium bicarbonate, would you just say leave it out?
I would, or you could even add sparkling water to it. But yeah, I would just leave it out. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, okay. I just wondered. No, we're trying to make things easy. We want you to make it even if you don't have all of the things. But I do love that magnesium bicarbonate because you do make it with sparkling water. And while it's not super carbonated, it does have a little bit of like spark left to it. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yes, I love that. Yes.
Okay. That is a really good one. So we'll make sure you have everything, the instructions to make that as well. I'm actually going to try that because a lot of times I'll drink a regular adrenal cocktail, or I do use Relight, which is a powder that you use just in plain water. But I want to make that as well because I saw you drinking it yesterday and I was like, what is that? So I love that. Thanks for sharing. So I might as well just talk about this next one after you just mentioned the classic adrenal cocktail. That is an option for a yummy mineral-rich beverage. And now there's been just a ton of different things on the adrenal cocktail that I've talked about in the past. But if you haven't heard any of those, adrenal cocktail is a mixture that you put together that just nourishes your adrenals. It gives your adrenals what the nutrients that it needs, that it burns through fast under stress. And so that would be some type of vitamin C, some source of vitamin C, I should say, potassium and sodium. Those are like the main ingredients. And so the classic recipe would be orange juice, coconut water, and salt. Those would be the different the different ingredients to an adrenal cocktail. And I still do. And I know, Hannah, you do too. I mean, I still drink in a classic adrenal cocktail. I actually have one right here. And I put the magnesium bicarbonate in there. So you can add that into this as well. And that's one that you can kind of add into a lot of different drinks, really. That's a good way to get a great magnesium source in a mineral rich drink. But I have a whole blog post on adrenal cocktails. So I'm going to include that if you want more information. And then it has ratios and all that in there as well. Yeah. What about you? What you got next? Your last one, I guess, right?
Yes. Yes, my last one. It's kind of similar to the matcha drink, but instead we're using chlorophyll, which I really like chlorophyll. It's a great one for detoxing excess estrogen. And it is a source of copper, which I think can be kind of hard for some to get that in when we're trying to balance out vitamin A and iron and all that. So this one really just includes, the ingredients are raw milk or coconut milk. I like to add collagen to this, filtered water, chlorophyll, and a sweetener of choice. So again, I love maple syrup. So I think I usually add maple syrup to this one, and a pinch of sea salt. And it's really easy. Yeah, you don't have to really heat anything up. You just mix it all together and add ice, and it's really good. And it makes for a really beautiful looking drink because it's like this really pretty.
Yeah, that is pretty color for sure.
And that's just fun. I'm still thinking of a really cool name for it, but
right now it's just a chlorophyll drink.
It's so boring for how cool it looks. So
well, you have to think about one. Maybe we could include it.
Okay.
Now let me ask, the chlorophyll, you get liquid, and we'll include all this. I'm just curious. So you get the liquid. Now the sweetener, and we can include this in the recipe too, but like how much sweetener do you put in these drinks? Like a tablespoon, a teaspoon? I don't know. How much?
Yeah. I don't really measure it anymore, but if I had to guess, it would be like around a tablespoon, maybe, but maybe a little bit less too.
Okay.
I think it depends on how, I don't know. I'm feeling that.
So you're really like trying to balance out the flavors. It's not like you're trying to have like a sweet drink. I mean, I'm just kind of sharing it. That way you can go if you need a little bit more. But I think over time, you'll probably use a little bit less too, because you just get used to it, if that makes sense. But if you're used to drinking sweeter drinks, sometimes a transition, you do need a little bit more sweetener to make that transition. So you can kind of just use your own judgment there. I'm going to have to try that one too. Never tried that one. You're really opening up my world for new fun drinks. Hopefully the listeners, can get some good ideas as well. So the last one that I was going to share is actually one that you can make for like a special occasion. And I'm glad that Hannah just reminded me of it before we got on. And this one would be, I actually looked up a recipe and kind of tweaked it whenever I had to provide punch for a bridal shower. It was this think it was back last fall. And so I didn't want to use any like corn syrup or like regular soda. And I think usually a punch is made with like Sprite and some other things. So what I chose to do was take carbonated water, and I put that in, and then I made a simple syrup, which is really just equal parts sugar and water. And then I put some cut up ginger in that and kind of let that steep. So I made ginger simple syrup and put it with the carbonated water, and then put pineapple juice with it. And that was and limes, fresh limes. So you could do that like on a bigger scale for like a special event or a party. And it was very good. I got so many compliments, and they were like, what is in this punch? Because it was different. I was like, are people going to like this? Like, it was at a church event, and they're used to like the regular punch, Southern punch that you normally have that has like sherbet and Sprite and whatever else in it. And I'm sure that's delicious, but this was a little bit healthier, but still really good. And again, it's sweeter than the other drinks we're talking about, but sometimes, you kind of want something that's a little bit more festive if you're having a get together. So it was really easy to put together, and I thought really tasty. So yeah.
That's such a great one.
Yeah.
I want to try that one for Josie's birthday. One year birthday is coming up, so I'm excited. I really would love to try that one for that.
It's a great one for the summer. The lime and the ginger with the pineapple is really good. So you have to definitely try that one. But as we kind of round up, kind of close out, Hannah, I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on like, or just your encouragement to add some of these mineral rich drinks in? Obviously they're just fun, right? But like, what are the benefits of them? Like, they're truly benefits to these that, we really need so many more minerals than we get, unfortunately, from our food. And so I just thought, just your thoughts on, and even what you've seen, because this is I don't want to say a recent transition for you to really focus more on these, but in the last 1 or 2 years, probably, right?
Yeah. You were really, I think, the catalyst for me. To explore minerals and the impact they have on your health. But yeah, honestly, I would say this is like a lifelong habit we hope the listeners embrace, because it really is what drives the healing itself. Obviously, alongside the Lord and his power and work in our healing journeys. But yeah, I know we talk about this a lot, but I just think that we want like a really complex answer to some of the things we're struggling with. And a lot of times the answer is pretty simple and straightforward. It's just a matter of staying consistent. And that's what I hope and I pray you get out of this message is, our healing journeys can be so fun and joy-filled. They do not have to be dreadful and miserable. Like, no, making mineral drinks can be so fun, and they are so important for so many things. But yeah, one thing I would like to say too, is if you are new to mineral drinks, I hope this episode does help bring to light that electrolytes really aren't just for athletes. I've heard that a lot, and I think a lot of people think you don't need to be taking electrolytes if you're not like a marathon runner or a full-time athlete, but that's just not true. Like us moms, we are burning that fuel so quickly. And so, I hope that this is encouraging. And another point too, I think that focusing on minerals helps prevent the relapsing when you're moving forward in your healing journey from, going back to that place again, because your body is getting the nutrients and minerals it needs to keep moving forward.
Yeah. It helps us to have more space to hold, for ourselves and for others. And it's just, it does play into it. And you're right. I'm glad you said that about like the relapse. It's a lot of times it's like, these are the spark plugs for our cells. And so that's what's helping them have energy. And if our body is constantly saying to us, like, it doesn't have enough energy, then we have to think, okay, obviously nutrition is like baseline, right? We need to be eating enough and often enough, but oftentimes it is the minerals that we're missing because our food is just not as nutrient dense as it once was. And we're more stressed than we once were too. And so, if you were thinking about when we were going through some of these drinks, if your first thought was, I don't have time for that, that might be a really good clue that you need to slow down and just take some time. Take a little bit of time for yourself. These might take a little bit more time to make, but I promise, it's all about having this kind of slower, more intentional lifestyle. And that's what we hope that, you just kind of lean into and truly like this does spark joy, even though it might sound crazy to think a drink could bring joy. It can. God is in the details. So we're going to have all these recipes for you. And if you have any questions at all, you can email us or message us on Instagram and follow along over there because we're always sharing different things on Instagram as well. And so thank you for joining us on this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.